cunts. We lost our butcher this week, and I'm just wearing this in honor of him. He won't be making an appearance because he is 6 feet under. So yeah, this is our last episode of Vought Unsolicited. I'm Zack Miller. He's Martin Cooke, and we're gonna recap the very last episode of the Boys, season 5, episode 8. Right? Yeah, episode 8.
Yeah.
Blood and Bone. So they're just a couple big set pieces, and I'll blow right through these as a recap, and then we can get right into it because we're crunched for time because Martin's a huge Canadians and those Canadians and their goddamn hockey. So I'm not gonna keep him any longer than he has to be. But so we have Frenchie's funeral that is very emotional but also very funny because it deals a lot with people's assholes. Um, Kimiko's powers work, so Frenchie is basically the main hero of the series, which we were worried about last week. Sage fucks off because Kimiko uses her blast to make Sage just of average intelligence, so she can't recite the entire Othello off the top of her head. Starlight kills Deep, uh, revenge from the absolute first episode of the entire series. Oh Father dies by his own ball gag. Classic, classic The Boys. Ashley turns face, old wrestling term, and pun intended.
Yeah. Nice.
Butcher kills Homelander. Hughie kills Butcher, and the rest kind of live happily ever after. So, yeah, thoughts on the absolute last episode, series finale of The Boys, Martin?
Yeah, so I've been pretty critical of the boys this season and even last season, based upon the highs of where they were the first three seasons of this show. But damned if they didn't stick the landing.
Mm.
I thought this episode was great. I thought it was one of the better series finales I've seen. And I really thought they did about as good a job as they could of wrapping up all the storylines in a pretty satisfactory way, and also a way in which it made sense. Like it kind of made sense for the characters to die in those ways. It made sense that things happened the way they did, that the real final showdown in the episode was actually Hughie and Butcher. That kind of made sense. The way Homelander died, on his knees as a sniveling coward, as kind of this weak, pathetic man, which he kind of always was on the inside. That made sense. So I just thought, yeah, overall, these Eric Kripke and his staff, they kind of nailed it.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's been over 24 hours since the episode actually aired. So there's been a lot of chatter online back and forth about what worked, what didn't. A lot of people are disappointed that it wasn't bigger. And if you've watched any of this last season, what did you expect?
Yeah.
And yeah, it would have been nice to see like this huge like Avengers Endgame style thing where there were like all the good soups and all the bad soups. Even though in this world there aren't any like that's like the whole point because you blur the lines and
Yeah.
everybody kind of has a little bit of both inside of them. But yeah, it would have been nice to see Homelander kill like millions of people. Maybe, maybe it would have been a good, like, just visual representation of his ultimate goals. But the thing is, the boys were able to stop him before he executed such a move.
Mhm.
Because that was definitely his plan. Homelander even said millions of people will die during his Oval Office address.
Yeah, when he
But the
started going off teleprompter and riffing a little bit, and his true feelings came out.
yeah, no, but I completely agree. I was just as skeptical as you were. And stuck the landing is the first thing I said to myself after the credits rolled. I was like, "Wow, they actually did it."
Yeah.
And this season has had its ups and downs. It's dragged a lot in the middle episodes, but in the end, as long as you if you stick the landing in a TV series as popular and as big as this, especially with nerds, like if you're in a fantasy or a superhero genre, like if you don't stick it, then you are
Yeah, the online
fucked.
trolls will come for you. Yeah,
And not just come for you, they'll come for you for the next 20 years. I mean,
it's true.
people are still bitching about the Game of Thrones ending, and
And
I'm one
making
of
having
those.
petitions to like remake the last couple of seasons and stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, overall, I was completely satisfied. They managed to tie everything up in a mere hour and 15 minutes. It wasn't like a super long finale like a lot of these kind of series have when you're streaming and you don't have the constraints of just having like 42 minutes with commercial breaks and things like that.
Mhm.
So yeah, I can't think of there are a few quibbles I had that we can get
Yeah.
into, but
Yeah.
those are my overall thoughts as well. I completely agree. Sticking the landing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's obviously a few things here and there that I could, as you say, could quibble with, and obviously there are still a few loose ends, but that's also kind of life. Life doesn't end when big events happen. Things go on and things continue. So sure, we don't really know, the kind of soldier boy is still there in his tank, I guess, and some other things like that. And we never saw Maeve come back, although I think that was more an off-screen thing where the actress was kind of almost retired from acting and didn't want to
Right.
come back. But so there's a few little things like that, but I don't think actually that's a detriment to the show. I think that's just how life is, and it just art was imitating life a little bit in this way. The few small problems I would have, one of them revolves around Gen V and the characters from that,
Mhm.
because essentially what they did, because I guess they've also announced that Gen V isn't coming back for a third season. So basically, they kind of made, especially the second season of that show, kind of irrelevant. The
Hmm.
fact that, they spent the whole second season of that show building up Marie Moreau as somebody who could possibly be as powerful as Homelander. And then there's just a couple of scenes of her and a couple of the others in this series, in this season of The Boys. And in this final episode, they're just being used to, take a van full of people north of the border. And now look, taking people to Canada is a noble exercise. Highly approve, but it's
There was that little dig about Canada though that I was like, oh, I know Martin felt that one.
but it does seem like, that was kind of a waste of her character and kind of a letdown of that show. And but that, that's more that show than it is The Boys, but obviously they're kind of all involved because they did tie the stories together.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that is funny you brought that up because I was like, yeah, I thought the exact same thing because like I said last week, I had just finished Gen V last week, so I thought the main characters of that show would have some sort of impact, and they're just basically, um, I don't want to say human traffickers, like rescue rangers or
Yeah, yeah, they're kind of like security bodyguards basically for the
yeah, yeah.
regular citizens now, which is, yeah, kind of strange. This episode we finally got Ryan back as we predicted, and damned if Ryan wasn't making a whole lot of sense in this episode
Yeah,
compared to
yeah. I
compared to
mean,
some of his previous episodes, where at times he just seemed like a bit like a petulant child. This episode, he's now grown up. He makes sense. Like he rejected Homelander for very good reasons, and then comes to kind of help end everything, but then also rejects Butcher for very good reasons and kind of wants to go off on his own. So I kind of enjoyed Ryan's arc in this.
yeah, me too, because since the end of last season, you especially were saying that Ryan was going to be the key. And in a way, he was in the final showdown with Homelander because he was about to fly away, and then all of a sudden, Ryan makes his like heroic his one thing that he did was to tackle Homelander before he get away from Butcher and Kimiko.
Yeah.
And I think we should save that whole scene and talk about that entire sequence in its entirety in a little bit. But yeah, Ryan just goes off to be basically a ward of Mother's Milk,
Yeah.
which seems like a good ending for him because Ryan doesn't have any powers anymore because he was caught up in Kimiko's blast. And Mother's Milk, his background, his whole history is helping disaffected youth. And while Ryan did have all the advantages of being a soup and Homelander's son and all the trappings of celebrity, he's a fucked up kid. He's had
Yeah,
a
he's
lot.
definitely gone through a lot of psychological trauma in his short years.
So if there's anybody that we know in this universe that could help him with that, it would be Mother's Milk. And Mother's
Yeah.
Milk winds up renewing his vows to his wife, and it seems like he has this whole core family together, nice nuclear family, and yeah, Ryan's just there as kind of a foster kid, and I thought that was really cool and nice.
Yeah, I mean, in the fucked up world that is the boys, about as good of a role model as he could possibly have, I
Yeah,
suppose, would be
yeah.
Mother's Milk. So, yeah, that was pretty good. What
So
did you think of the deep ending then? I gotta say, the moment that the deep, I mean, I kind of saw it coming anyway a few episodes ago, but especially the moment in this episode when Homelander is just tearing down the deep and saying basically that, he's never respected anybody less. I thought to myself, oh, okay, well, the deep is definitely dying in this episode.
mm,
I thought maybe it would be like in a futile kind of lashing out at Homelander thing, but it turns out it's even more pathetic where he was still trying to win Homelander's approval. And then, what he had done with the sea creatures came back to get him because in the end, actually, they're the ones that kill him, not necessarily Starlight. So, yeah, what did you think of all that?
my relationship with the Deep is complicated. He started out as this, just Me Too piece of shit who was just so, I mean, well, his bottom line is he was almost as insecure as Homelander, if not
Yeah,
more, but
yeah,
he didn't have the power that Homelander had. So, and I mean, that's why he was fucking octopus or octopi or octopuses.
yeah,
But I've always really just liked his character when he was in that kind of Scientology adjacent cult back in season 2 or 3, where like, would you like a fresca? Like
yeah, yeah,
that's one thing my friends and I all adopted. We're like, would you like a fresca? Like one of the one-liners, and his whole journey was tragic in a way, but I mean, he got his comeuppance and for Starlight to do it since he's the one that forced her to suck his dick at the very beginning of episode 1.
yeah,
Uh, no, the thing is, in the last couple episodes, it seems like he was actually gonna do something and revolt. But at the end of the day, he was just too much of a coward to revolt against Homelander.
yeah.
And when we see him, Butcher comes in, you've been crying. He's like, no. No. But then the way Starlight walks up so badass, like, I got this, and just bam,
Yeah.
like blasts him right into the sea. Like he gets a few shots in because he is one of the seven, but she kicks him in the balls, blasts him into the sea, and he winds up getting just annihilated by his former allies, which are of course the sea creatures.
Yeah. Yeah. And stabbed, yeah, kind of in a similar way that he used it. Well, different body part, but similar way that he used an eel to kill somebody else a few episodes ago. Just got punched straight through by a sea creature. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty apt conclusion for his character overall.
One of my favorite lines in the entire series, let alone this last episode, was when Homelander first approaches Ryan in his little hideout, and he's like, the Son of God should not be sleeping in a barn. Just the fucking irony
that was hilarious. Yeah,
blew me
that was
away.
awesome. That's a great line. Yeah.
Because of course, Jesus born in the manger, shouldn't have to explain
Yeah.
it.
No, that was really funny.
Like I had to pause that episode for a second because I was just cracking up so hard because of just the meta and the irony of like the Son of God should not be sleeping in a barn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no Maeve, as you said, that wasn't really a story thing.
Yeah.
It was that the actress has basically retired from acting. So, but it was weird that there was no Maeve, even though they showed her in the uh what do you call it? Not the credits, but the
Oh,
lead
yeah, the kind of
the
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 on. Yeah.
previously on, yeah. So usually when shows like this show previously on, it means that that character is going to show up at some point. So I
Yeah.
was like, oh shit, Maeve's going to have some part to play here. But so that was a little disappointing.
Mm,
But Homelander dead in the first half of the episode totally works.
yeah. Was it the first half? It was, yeah, I guess it was,
Yeah, it
yeah.
was about
Yeah.
25 minutes in.
Oh, was it that early? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I thought it really worked. Like him, it was kind of funny, like the moment he gets hit with the bus and then him attempting to fly away. Like it just looked so pathetic. It was so funny. The acting, once again, as has been the case throughout this entire series, Anthony Starr is just fucking brilliant as
Uh-huh.
Homelander. And in this scene especially, he was great.
Yeah, so
I
let's get in. You want to just go ahead and get into that? I mean, it's basically the climax of the entire series.
Yeah,
The rest of the show is the denouement.
yeah, yeah,
So
basically. Yeah.
so uh uh Hughie, Kimiko, and Butcher are breaking through the busting into the White House. They get
NMM. Yeah.
yeah, NMM. They get help from Ashley, who is just like finally after just being the most self-preservationist. Like, that's been her number one goal through all the way from episode one, season one to now, and it got her to president of the United States for a little bit at least. But
Yeah.
but
Very briefly.
she's finally like, you know, this is no way to live. She tells them all where to go. And so Kimiko, Butcher, they bust into the they bust into the Oval Office as Homelander is giving this just madness speech about how he is God, and which was also funny, like his final address to the nation. It's like Jesus died on the cross and he sacrificed himself to you, and that's all well and good.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But
this was an Easter Day message apparently on it. Yeah. So
yeah, so they bust in the Oval Office and just fucking chaos ensues. Butcher's not as powerful as Homelander, but he's able to
no.
use his tentacles to stop Homelander from flying away. Kimiko is only able to activate her Soldier Boy super like blast power, which gets rid of everybody's soup powers immediately. So she gets like ridiculously pissed off, does the blast. Oh, right, of course, yeah.
Well, yeah,
As
no,
I already
not
said,
quite ridiculously
Ryan comes
pissed off.
in.
She tries to get pissed off and doesn't feel it in her. And it's only in like Obi-Wan force projection type intervention by Frenchie that tells her that she just has to, it's all about her heart and her heart's the strongest. And that's what kind of pushes her to
Totally, she uses like the Zen power and just
yeah. Yeah.
blasts off. And it was a great set piece considering it was all in one room with
Yeah.
Ryan, Homelander, Butcher, and Kimiko. And once Kimiko has that vision of Frenchie, again, R.I.P. Frenchie, he comes
Yeah.
through in the end. They all wake up and they're just regular ass humans. And I mean, at that point, we all knew that Butcher in just a straight up human fist fight with
Yeah,
Homelander, it was
yeah.
already over.
Well, especially because Homelander has never fought without his powers before. He
Exactly.
obviously just didn't really know how. And so, yeah, he's just getting his ass whooped. And then that's when he just turns absolutely pathetic.
He
He's
does
on
the th
his knees begging him, saying he's suck his dick and stuff. And of course, this is all still on national television. So,
which is perfect
so
because
much for your
it, it
God
it
there.
explains a lot. It explains away a lot of the macro stuff that has
Yeah,
been missing through the season.
yeah,
Because if that's all on national TV, then of course that guy's not God,
yeah,
obviously. But yeah, it was funny the way he like tried to laser him. He kept trying to do
yeah.
that. And then,
The
yeah, and
forehead.
then the jumping. It's already become Anthony Starr's last great meme as Homelander. I've seen it like 1,000 times today.
Okay.
Just like it's like hashtag when a 7-year-old tries to pretend he has superpowers. And, yeah, just a million other things. And then yeah, Homelander just beats the ever loving. I mean, Butcher just beats the ever loving shit out of him, and yeah, he said, "I'll eat your shit on live TV."
Yeah.
And a little note that his very last line was improvised by Anthony Starr.
Oh, was it?
"I'll eat your
Okay.
shit on live TV."
I actually wasn't totally sure, although I mean, obviously, I should have realized. I wasn't totally sure that Butcher was just going to straight up kill him right then and there.
Mhm.
Um, Especially when he said this is for Becca, because it's clear that's probably not what Becca would have wanted, but that's always kind of been Butcher, right? And so it was very true to his character. And then it also helped with Ryan, the completion of Ryan's arc, because he was pretty easily able to walk away from Butcher afterwards by saying, you're not a very good person. And also, like, yeah, he just, because at that point, clearly Homelander was no longer a threat and he just straight up murdered him on national TV. But so I wasn't totally sure that's the way that was going to go down, but I should have known that was the way that was going to go down.
Well, yeah, I mean, Homelander had to die a gruesome death. I mean, this is the boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was almost surprised that he wasn't like taken prisoner by Butcher and like dismembered and
Well, yeah, I
tortured.
almost thought like it's almost worse for him just to be in that perpetual state of how pathetic he was by, whining and whimpering on TV. That I thought that was almost worse than the death they gave him.
Mhm. But I
But
mean, throwing a crowbar into his forehead and then
yeah,
prying it open and then
it's not
seeing
pleasant.
his brains spill out all over the desk on the Oval Office, and especially since we don't have that much time left in the episode, then yeah, I thought it was
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, and of course this takes place in the Oval Office too, which is another interesting part. Um, yeah, and so then that seems to be almost like the end. And as you say, then there's going to be denouement, but then there's kind of one last showdown.
Hmm.
Um, and thinking about the show and where the show started, especially at the very beginning in season one. And now Hughie's been on a bit of a ride, and I'm not sure the show has always been incredibly consistent with Hughie's character throughout. But I do think that as kind of the protagonist of the show in a way, Hughie, um, it made sense that his final showdown was with Butcher.
Yeah, because the whole show isn't really about good and evil, but it's about like just doing the right thing versus doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, the choices you make. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, and
yeah,
how that affects you as a human. And even though soups are soups, they are still human.
yeah,
And I think that was the message that the final episode was trying to send because Butcher almost seemed okay with the boys disbanding, and he did what he set out to do from the very first episode, which is kill Homelander. And as they'll say later, he did make the world a safer place.
mm.
But I actually really loved that Butcher's dog Terror is the thing that sets him off because
Yeah.
he has nothing left to lose, and I felt that for him. And while it was kind of a, I don't know, some could say it was cheap, but I thought it was nice because Hughie leaves him, Mother's Milk leaves him, Frenchie's already dead, everybody's disbanded, and he's like, well, I guess it's just you and me, Tara. And then he goes and sees his poor little bulldog is dead,
Yeah.
and he's like, well, fuck it, like, what else is there to do?
Well, and it also tied up the loose end of this virus that they had created, which obviously would have been a huge loose end if they didn't tie that up somehow. So, yeah, so then he's going to go and release it and kill all the rest of the soups, which is the other thing that he wanted to do is just kill all soups from the beginning. And so, yeah, it made sense that it came down to he wants kind of a maximalist solution, and Huey's like, no, we got to make the right choices, as you say, and, do the right thing. And not all it's not good versus evil, not all soups are bad, not all humans are good, and just just make that decision. So in the end, Huey shoots him, thinks that he has to shoot him. It's unclear whether or not at that point Butcher was not gonna pull the trigger on releasing the virus or not.
Which I like that part.
Yeah, I like that it was uncertain. And then maybe in his last kind of act of kindness, he tells Huey that he absolutely was going to do it. And so Huey doesn't, take that guilt on, which I thought was good that, he's always obviously had a soft spot for Huey. And once again, he says near the end that he's really the spitting image of his long dead
Lenny, yeah.
Lenny, of his long dead brother. So I thought that all went down really well. I kind of liked all of that as well.
Yeah, and so yeah, Butcher dies. His epitaph is hilarious.
Yeah.
It's it's oi cunts, fuck off. At the top of it, it's loving husband, but at the
Yeah.
bottom, it's oi cunts, fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
And
and there's just a couple of like little scenes at the end, like as you said, Ryan with MM. We got a little baby Huey and Annie on the way, and Annie's kind of off doing kind of like dime store superheroing or something, and as she's pregnant, Huey gets, obviously gets offered the job to be in charge of the Bureau of Soup Affairs, but he's not interested in that shit anymore. So I thought that all made sense and worked pretty well too.
yeah, I thought the bookend with Huey's story from episode one to the final episode was really well done. Like he opens up an electronics store, which is
Yeah.
where he started, but
And
where
and on, on the sidewalk at the edge of the street. Yeah.
yeah, and Huey and Annie are gonna name their daughter Robin, which was of course the girlfriend that got annihilated by A Train, which started out this entire
Yeah.
series. And yeah, I thought that was really nice. And Kimiko goes off to Paris and finds a chien, a dog, and that she likes, and it looks like she's actually gonna live a normal life. Although she is like the one soup out of the boy. Well, no, never mind. Of course, Starlight is still a soup, but
Yeah.
she didn't annihilate her own powers
No,
when she did the blast to
no,
get the powers out of Ryan, Homelander, and Butcher. So
no. No. Yeah, and yeah, and then earlier she had done Sage, and as we said, pretty much, and Ashley gets impeached basically
oh yeah,
immediately
oh
as
yeah.
president, which is I am not stepping down. And then literally the next thing, she was immediately impeached by a unanimous vote in
Yeah,
the
that was
House and
great.
Senate, which is
Yeah.
pretty funny.
What the boys has always done is balance the violence, the drama, and the humor, and
Yeah,
I think that was all present in in like the wrap up of the last 10 minutes of the final episode too. So
yeah,
again, I am totally satisfied. I feel like for all of the faults of the final season, they did what they set out to do, and kudos to Eric Kripke.
yeah,
But okay, so
absolutely.
So we did make a list of the people that we thought were gonna die and
Right?
that were
I
gonna live.
totally forgot who we had each chosen.
I happen to have the list right here,
Nice.
but it really it's not really that much worth talking about because
Okay.
so many people lived, and we thought it was just gonna be a lot more apocalyptic, I think, towards the end.
Right. Right.
Because I mean, like, so yeah,
Yeah.
one of the one
I mean,
one of the
Frenchie's the only one of the boys really who died.
yeah,
Yeah.
one of the quibbles I had was like, what was the point of Homelander getting V1 in the first place? Like,
Mm, you're right. It kind of was a red herring in the end because, yeah, obviously it didn't affect his immortality and the Kimiko's blast. I had that question at the very beginning when she blasted Sage and
mm.
blasted Sage back to kind of normal or lower intelligence. And then you obviously saw the ignorance is bliss thing with Sage like walking out with a smile on her face.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I'm going to Harry Potter World in
yeah,
Orlando. Wands up,
what's up,
bitches.
bitches? But I did write in my notes at that point. I'm like, okay, so it worked against Sage, but is it going to work again on the V1? And
Mm.
obviously it did. So yeah, the V1 kind of was a bit of a red herring. You're right. And again, speaks to maybe some of the problems in earlier episodes in this season, but I don't think that's necessarily a problem with this episode.
And then, Soldier Boy actually just being frozen
Yeah,
and never showing up was another flaw.
yeah, yeah. He's just still stuck in Vought Tower somewhere. I don't know.
Anyway, so the Deadpool, Soldier Boy, total wash. We both had Homelander and Butcher being dead.
Yep.
Hughie, we both had being alive. You had Starlight dying. I had Starlight living.
Okay.
Deep, you had Deep dying. I had him
Yeah.
living. So,
Yeah.
and okay, Mother's Milk, we both had living. Frenchie, you had living. I had dying.
Oh, I had him living. Interesting. Okay.
But you had Kimiko dying. I had her living because we were kind of,
Oh, right. We were flipped on those.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So all in all, it's kind of 50-50, and it didn't really even matter at the end because it wasn't the massacre that we thought it was going to be. Oh, and Ryan, we both had dying, and he lived.
Yeah. And he lived. Yeah. And then, yeah, we didn't even have like Oh Father on the list or anything. And obviously
Yeah,
he
or
died and,
Ashley,
or,
because
yeah, people like that.
or
Yeah.
Firecracker. Yeah, we didn't.
Right.
Yeah, we
Right.
all.
Yeah. So there were a lot of people who died. Just, yeah, just kind of, they kind of took their time with them.
So before we sign off, do any okay, so what was your favorite individual ending for any specific character or a couple? Don't limit it to one. Like who do you think really got a good send off?
Um, Again, in terms of the like the total arcs, I liked Ryan's arc, his ending. I just thought it really worked well, and obviously he's kind of a secondary character at this point,
Hmm.
but I really liked what they did with him. I thought, and then Homelanders, the flip side of it was Homelanders. I just thought it was kind of perfect. Like this guy who, the whole time he was the most powerful person in the world, but inside, obviously, he was just an insecure mess. And then when he lost his power, that's all you saw, and just how pathetic it was, and the fact that we
Hmm.
got those moments of him on his knees begging for his life, I just thought was a perfect ending.
Yeah, I agree. Again, I would have liked to see some of the characters return, Soldier Boy and Maeve especially. But yeah, I agree. Homelander's death was absolutely perfect. Give Anthony Starr a fucking Emmy nomination at the
Yes,
very
please.
least.
Please do. Yeah, they definitely need to.
God.
Yeah.
And yeah, Carl Urban as Butcher, while not not doing like, the classically like great acting, the
Yeah, it
emotional
was a bit more one note than what Anthony Starr had to
but
do.
the
But
emotional range you had to portray was really good, especially in this episode.
yeah. Yeah.
where he lost his best friend, he lost his dog, and especially the death scene I thought had so much pathos
Mm.
for especially for the boys, like where
Yeah.
everything is so just like over the top, hyper violent and things like that. And we didn't see Hughie blow Butcher's brains out or anything. He just had to kind of put him down
Yeah.
because at that point Butcher was just a wild dog without without a leash.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
But I love that Kimiko went to Paris and that she's
Mm.
finding peace. Huey again going back to the
Starting
audio
his own
video store.
electronics store. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just felt super satisfied
Agreed.
at the end of this, and I really don't have any more complaints other than there's like little tiny nitpicks that
Yeah.
that some
Yeah.
people would have, but yeah, other than that, yeah, The Boys is one of the best TV series of this century, bar none.
I'm not sure I'd put it that high, just because I think it was pretty uneven at times, but it was definitely one of the more original series we've seen. Like I don't think it rises to the heights of if we're talking this century, I don't think it rises to the heights of a Wire or Breaking Bad
Okay, well,
or Mad Men or things like that, or even Andor. Um, but I think but it's definitely in the next tier for sure. And
okay, yeah, I said one of. I didn't say top
yeah,
10.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah,
But, yeah, so with that, I think that's it for us on Vought Unsolicited. And
absolutely.
I'm Zach Miller. He's Martin Cook. If Probably wind up doing a series on this when they do the prequel Vought Rising in a couple years or whenever that comes out. But I mean, that's it for Butcher, and we'll see you next time on Unsolicited Film Reviews. Until then, I'm gonna retire this duster. R.I.P. Butcher. I'll go ahead and pour one out for him. See you guys later.
Bye, everyone.